All right, there's Chuck. All right, and the cool background. I think we're good to go.
Yep, we are.
Brenda? Okay,
Yep.
great. And I'm sorry, are we recording?
Yes.
All right, I can see right there. Good evening, everybody. I will call the Water and Sewer Board meeting to order. Start with the attendance, Brenda, please.
Will do. Board Member Brisky.
Present.
Board Member Mercier. Board Member Ridley.
Present.
Board Member Roth.
Present.
Board Member Freeman. Council Member Anderson.
Present.
Council Member Woodward. I know I saw him.
You
Council
mentioned
Member
attention.
Woodward,
Okay, good.
can you hear us? Okay. He is
Come back
present.
again.
Okay. Mayor Sierra,
Present.
Vice Chair Havernick,
Present.
Chair Moore.
Present. And sorry, Brenda, I'm sorry, do we need to give Jim another chance, or are we good?
Yeah, I think we should. If he can get his voice on here, that'd be great.
Jim, are you with us yet? If so, we're not hearing you. We can register that in a little bit when we see that he's with us. Why don't we go ahead and I'll pause after the next agenda item. Why don't we move on to the approval of the minutes from the October 11th meeting? Can I get a motion?
Moved.
Second?
Second.
Great. Thank you. Any edits, corrections to the minutes? Right. Then all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. I'll take a quick pause. Jim, are you with us yet? Jim Woodward? All right, Jim, you might, I'm guessing since there's no video, he hasn't still got technical difficulties. All right. Brenda, do we have anyone for the public forum tonight?
No, we do not.
All right, thank you. Then we'll move on to item 5, new business. And Sarah, I believe you'll take it from here.
I will. Good evening, Chair Moore. Good evening, board members. Peter is on vacation tonight, so I will present all the action items. We've got 4. Let me just share my screen here. Okay, can everybody see the presentation?
Still loading. Yep, it's good.
Great. Okay, so our first item tonight is consideration of new professional service agreements with our 4 on-call engineering firms, and these would be for 2023 services. So just a little background, we competitively selected on-call engineering firms following a request for proposals that was released in March of 2021. 11 proposals were submitted, and then based on the qualifications and the quality of the response, 4 firms were selected. So those are shown here. It's Carollo, Hazen, HDR, and Jacobs. So following the selection of these firms, we executed contracts for $90,000 with each of these firms. So in the past 2 years, there have been several tasks that we've asked these engineers to complete. Just a few of them are listed here. So there's a single point of failure analysis done at the Allen Water Treatment Plant. They've created drawings and specifications for some minor projects at the water treatment plant and at our remote facilities. They've provided development review support, such as running the hydraulic model and ensure sufficient capacity is available for new developments. They've also supported development reviews with some land acquisition advice and support and plan reviews. They've updated and are nearly done with the updates to our water and sanitary sewer design standards. And they've also performed evaluation of improvements to our Boreas ditch infrastructure. So with these new contracts for 2023, we'd like to revise the contract cycle. The existing contracts for each of these 4 firms are kind of on different cycles, and they don't follow the contract or follow the calendar year. So we'd like to make that adjustment and start new contracts in January 2023, and they would run through the remainder of the year. So some work that has already been identified for on-call contracts in 2023 are updates to our design specifications and standards, construction administration and inspection, any updates that might be required for our water and sewer hydraulic models, regulatory and compliance support, as well as general engineering support as needed, which includes development of a dam safety program, provide meter replacement support, and smaller design projects that might result from the water treatment plant process optimization study that's currently underway. So the 2022 budget, like I mentioned, was $90,000. We actually issued a couple more $1,000 to Hazen to complete some tasks through the end of this year. We are requesting for 2023 professional service agreements with each of these firms for $200,000. For the 2023 budget, the on-call engineering line item is $400,000. So we're going to manage to the $400,000 level, but we'd like to execute contracts with each of these for $200,000 to give us flexibility to select the most qualified firm depending on the project we've identified. So with that, I will open it up for any questions.
I'm not seeing any hands raised yet. I'll just add to clarify or just further reinforce the 200 is the max under the contract. It doesn't have to be spent. That's what you're saying. Just across the 3, you're saying you'll manage to 400,000. You just have the flexibility about where to spend those dollars.
Correct. Yep. So
Okay.
we'd say this is more of an up to an amount of 200,000, and we're not guaranteeing that any of these firms would get up to that amount or any amount. Just kind of depends on what our needs are as we work through the year next year.
Perfect. I'm not seeing any hands. So at this point, I will ask for a motion. Oh, there we go. Ask for someone to move to recommend City Council approve items 5A 1 through 4 as written. All right, silence. We need somebody.
Oh,
I'm sorry. Who is? Sarah, will you shift over to the camera?
Yep.
All right, thank you. I didn't get who made the motion.
I did, I think.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Any further discussion since there was no? Very good. All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. Opposed? All right. Motion carries. All right. 5B.
Okay. So this next item is to request approval for a professional service agreement with Johnson, Mirmiran and Thompson, or JMT, for water main replacement design services in 2023. I'll just mention that one of our project managers, Stephanie Ellis, is on the line today. She will be the project manager for this, and she's also in one of our later items tonight. She was instrumental in putting together the connection agreements that we'll consider later. Okay. So as a reminder, back in September, we presented some data to the board about line breaks. And as a result of that data collection, we've identified a high consequence line, and it's this line here along Union Avenue that has experienced, 22 breaks in the last 20 years. It was originally installed in 1955, and it serves about 1,000 residents. So this design contract would include that Union Avenue line, which is existing as 16-inch, and then continue south along Hawthorne Street and Irving Street, which are 14 and 12-inch lines, down south to Bellevue Avenue. So the design is for approximately 6,700 linear feet, and it's the primary connection to the Centennial Park area. The assumption is that these lines would be replaced with PVC, but JMT will evaluate some trenchless rehab opportunities if it's available for this line to ease in the construction. And we'd anticipate construction beginning in 2024. So we selected JMT for this particular design contract as a result of an RFP that was issued in March of 2021. JMT was selected and we contracted with them for the water line replacement design. And this design was performed in 2021. And then this was the contract that was approved earlier this year for $1.2 million of construction for water line replacement. And that was approved by the board and council a few months ago. We decided to contract with JMT again because we have the option to award them contracts for design for the next 5 years. Their work to date has been high quality and they're very responsive to our needs. And they also are experienced with our design standards and had a clear understanding of the scope of services needed for this contract. So JMT will provide design services and then we'll also provide services to staff through the invitation to bid. So that includes preparing all the design drawings and bid documents, as well as answering addendum questions and reviewing the construction firms that choose to bid on this project. The requested contract amount is for $258,880. And we've added a 10% staff managed contingency for a total authorization request of just under $285,000. So that I'll open it up to questions. Chair Moore, I think you're on mute.
That would be true. Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve item 5B as written in the agenda and on the screen?
I'll move.
Thank you. Second? Can I get a second?
Second.
All right, thank you. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Hey, Jim Woodward, did I hear your voice?
Yes, you did.
All right, we will officially count your attendance now. No, we know you were there earlier, just having difficulties. We're just, for the record, want to hear your sweet voice on the mic.
Yeah, I'm on my phone now, so I'm not seeing everything.
Okay, holler if you need anything. All right, item 5C. Sarah continues to hold the floor.
All right. So this item is an intergovernmental agreement with the city of Littleton to partner in an effort that was initiated by Littleton to evaluate the terms of the connector district agreements. So a little background, there are 19 sanitation districts that send their wastewater to South Platte Renew for treatment. And as the joint owners of the facilities, the cities of Englewood and Littleton hold the connector agreements with each of these districts. Englewood manages 13 connector district agreements and Littleton manages 8. 2 of those districts hold contracts with both. That's Beaumar Water and Sanitation District and Columbine Water and Sanitation District. So Peter and I met with the Deputy Director of Public Works and their financial consulting group a couple of months ago, where they let us know that they were evaluating the connector district agreements and taking a look at key business terms, meeting with each of those districts to identify key issues. And we requested to be a part of that study to partner with Littleton to do that because Englewood's connector agreements have not been reviewed for business terms over the last decade. The last time they were amended was back in 2016 and 2017, but that was to implement South Platte Renew's industrial pretreatment program. So one of the reasons we wanted to partner with Littleton on this particular study is to really understand what consistency there is between the agreements and maybe where there's areas that lacks consistency. So to add us to that study, the cost share for Englewood would be $21,850. So the reason it's an intergovernmental agreement is we would just be added to the PSA under Littleton. So I'll open it up for questions.
All right, seeing none. Can I get a motion to approve agenda item 5D as written in the agenda and on screen? I'm sorry, I goofed that up. 5C.
Okay, I'll move that one.
Thanks, Don.
Second.
Thank you. All right, any further discussion? Hearing none. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and opposed. Motion carries. And 5D, and I'm going out on a limb and turning it over to Sarah.
All right. So this item is to seek the Water Sewer Board's support of implementing water and sanitary sewer connection agreements. This is a follow-up from the meeting last month where I mentioned we were developing these agreements, and that would be a part of implementing the new development review or be a part of the development review process in 2023. And follows the fees that were approved actually last night by the City Council. So currently Englewood does not have any existing agreements with developers. However, connection agreements are fairly common for other municipalities and water and sanitation districts to define the terms by which a development can connect to the water and sewer systems. The proposed connection agreements would incorporate, we'd incorporate that into our department's review process. And those would have to be signed by a developer in order to initiate the plan review process, as long as the conditions of the agreement were met, would authorize a connection to the city's water and sewer system. We've proposed separate agreements between water and sewer because in some cases a developer may only need to connect to one of the two systems. And we've included the forms of those proposed agreements in your packet. If that form is acceptable by the board tonight, we'd use that as the basis for any new development projects initiated in 2023 and then moving forward. So the agreements will define the fees in that deposit process that we proposed last month. And then it would detail the conditions by which the developer needed to connect to the water and sewer system. And it really provides the developer with the expectations and that transparency of our requirements to connect to the systems prior to entering into that review process. For implementation, like I mentioned, we would implement these new agreements for any projects starting in 2023. As we did with the development fees, we'd exempt any single family or owner occupied properties. And then once the water and sewer agreements were signed, we would collect that deposit that depends on the size of the development and initiate the plan review. I will open it up to questions.
And Sarah, this is John, I'm sorry. How does it work today if we don't have this structure in place? What is our current setup? Do
So
you just
our
follow
current,
code?
yeah, I mean, it does follow code. So this just formalizes the process that we perform currently. It's a way to collect that deposit of either $5,000 or $1,000 in advance, as well as really give that expectation of these are the terms that we would use, for a developer to connect. They get that all through the development review process, but at times maybe they're surprised by certain studies or conditions that we ask. That would all be defined in that agreement beforehand.
Just going back to the few sessions where we had the variance, we were considering, would it have impacted that situation and perhaps brought things out more quickly or avoided any more confusion, do you think?
Yeah, it's a good question. Stephanie, do you have any thoughts on that one?
Because that was not owner occupied, right? It was,
Ye-
well, I guess that
Yeah.
would be one key. If it was owner occupied, it would be exempt.
Yeah.
That is a good question, and that property was owner occupied.
Okay,
And so I'm not sure if it would have changed a whole lot for that one, but we do want to, like Sarah said, define those requirements up front so that developers know going into it what they're going to need to do throughout the review process.
any further questions? All right, seeing none. Can I get a motion to approve item 5D as presented, as written in the agenda and on screen?
So much.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All right, thanks, guys. All right, no further, assuming no further questions, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. Item 6 is old business. Doesn't look like we have any. Staff's choice.
We do not have any items for tonight.
Okay. Is there anything the board would like to raise? All right. Nice timing. I think we're done. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything. I'll guess this meeting is adjourned. Have a good evening, everybody.
Good night,
Thank
everyone.
you, everyone.
Thanks all.
All right.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Good night.